or that sin that has a hold of us, right? Or that death that has come and visited our family. Or the natural forces in life, that hurricane, that tornado, that earthquake. And as we look out, that army, that nation, and we think that's the power and that's the authority and that's guiding things today. Baloney. It's not. And that's what's great about the Gospel of Mark. He immediately says, you Christians in Rome, no, Jesus is the one with all power and authority. Don't bow down before the things of this world. Bow down to Him. Bow to Him. Submit to Him. No matter if it seems like your whole world is out of control and everything is going crazy. And as we read in the 46th Psalm, even though the earth shakes and the waters roar with their foaming. Verse 10, be still. You get that? Be still and know that I am God. I am the God of Jacob. I am the God of Israel. But it's easy for us, isn't it? In this world to be deceived and thinking what's real power and what's real authority. The truth is Jesus reigns. He reigns today. And that message resounded with them. Jesus spoke. Demons fled. The sick were healed. The lame walked. The dead were raised. Please, go with me in your mind's eye, and we'll just jump a little bit into the Gospel of Mark. As Mark, by the way, Mark will reveal things that none of the other Gospel writers do. Just little things that show his humanity and the reality of the situation and the story. So let's just dive into a story. Let's look at those disciples, and they're on this fishing boat. And these are seasoned fishermen, and they're out on the Sea of Galilee. And as is common with the Sea of Galilee, all of a sudden there comes one of these storms that come up very quickly. And we see Mark shows Jesus in the back of the boat, and he's the only one that shows he's sleeping on a cushion amidst this storm. And these seasoned fishermen, this storm was one of the bad ones, and they were frightened. And they came to Jesus, which is interesting, and why they came to him. Maybe it was because he was so relaxed. Maybe it was because they figured he could do something. I don't know. And they said to him, Jesus, don't you care that we're going to drown? We're going to die here? And what does Jesus do in the story? He stands up. And he says to the wind and the waves, peace, be still. And it is. Oh, please be on that boat with those disciples. And this is happening. And this man just did this. And what do the disciples say? Who is this? That is the question of the ages. Who is this? You can speak to the wind and the waves, and they calm. Right now, peace. Be still. That's the question every single person needs to answer. We all need to, whether you're a disciple of Jesus Christ or not. But everyone must answer that question. Who is this? To journey with Jesus means submitting to the one with total and complete authority. And you know what? It should be a no-brainer. If we really believe that Jesus is who he says he is, we should fall immediately to our knees. Later on, as Peter's with Jesus and he realizes who Jesus is, who this is, what does Peter do? Oh, he gets on his face. He says, oh, Lord, please get away from me because I'm a sinner. Right? It only makes sense that when we're in the midst of the most powerful force in the entire universe, we get on our face and we submit to everything that he would say. Everything. Because one day, everyone will. Paul writes this in a song over in Philippians chapter 2. Every knee will bow, every tongue confess that Jesus is Lord. And a disciple will do that now. This is where Mark's going with this. Bow to Jesus. He's the one who's truly in power and authority. Who is this? So the first 8 chapters, we see this over and over again, this power and authority of Jesus Christ. Anything you might have in this world that sets itself up as a power, Jesus reigns over. And then the next 8 chapters, we see Jesus as this humble servant who will gird himself with a towel and get a bowl of water, and he will wash feet. He heals the sick. He feeds the hungry. He ministers to children. He teaches and he prays for others. But we got to get this in the context. Here we have the creator of the universe, the one who has all power, who has all authority, who humbles himself to do the job that we would never dream of doing. To find ourselves a true disciple, that's the one who could wash the feet of an older lady in a private place where nobody saw and nobody knew. That's the kind of work that Jesus would do. This humble servant, creator of the universe. And how often do we not do things because of our own pride? It's beneath us. We can't do that. I can't change that. I can't get over that. I can't forgive that. Well, we probably don't come right out and say it, but we do. But listen to Jesus. Philippians chapter 2, verse 6-8. This description, this is more of that early Christian hymn. Who, describing Jesus, who, being in the very nature God. Wow. I mean, that's a mouthful right there. Who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself. Who is this? Who is this? To journey with Jesus is to follow his example of being humble and being that selfless servant. Where is it that you need to take up the basin and the towel and to become that servant? Because there is not a single disciple of Jesus Christ who not only has power and authority given to him through Christ, but also to be that servant, that humble servant. And where is he calling you to serve? The public arena? The teaching? The behind the scenes? Pray? To heal? What is it? Who is this in the Gospel of Mark that Mark tells us that we must follow? He's the one who died on a cross. He's the one whose path ultimately leads to a cross. And here's this, make no mistake, catch it. We must follow him if we're going to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. No, all paths don't lead to heaven. Don't let anyone delude you and deceive you that. All paths to heaven go by the way of a cross. There's a guy I've really enjoyed listening to of recent. His name is Francis Chan. And he is an excellent teacher on this topic. This very difficult and deep topic of discipleship. I'd like to address, first of all, we got a bunch of the young people here. There's some in other places too. And I want to really get this across to you guys real quick. Because you have a bunch of adults in your lives who claim to be disciples of Jesus Christ. Okay? But maybe you see that there's a disconnect between what happens at church, what happens at home, and what happens at work or in our community. And I'm not talking about just these people, but I'm talking about people around our community who claim to be disciples of Jesus Christ. And you see that disconnect. I must tell you, that's wrong. And don't grow up in your lives thinking that there's this disconnect, that we do things one way and we talk one way when we're gathered here like we are now, what we call church. And then when we're out in our real lives, that there's a different way that we behave. And this is what the Gospel of Mark is going to teach us. That it is 100% every moment of our life we're a disciple of Jesus Christ, not just in these walls, not just at this time. And what that means. And I've been a Christian, it'll be this year, it'll be 30 years. And I still need to be held to a higher accountability of what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. So I can give you a good model. That I can show you that it's seamless.